The UK's plan to become a crypto hub has stalled due to regulatory delays and a recent government change. Now, despite initial hopes for quick regulation, a clear framework is still lacking, which is causing concerns about increased surveillance, stifled innovation, and economic exclusion. Industry leaders are now warning that the slow legislative process risks leaving the UK behind in the global crypto landscape. Is time running out for the UK to become a crypto hub? Today's episode is sponsored by Cake Wallet, where you can send, receive, and even exchange your crypto right from within the wallet. Cake Wallet is open source and non-custodial, so you control your own private keys. Available today on iOS, macOS, Android, and Linux. And StealthEX, a privacy-centric crypto exchange which enables you to make crypto-to-crypto exchanges anonymously. Hi everybody and welcome again to another episode of Enter Crypto with me, Chris Kenyon. Now in today's video we're going to be looking at the UK's long-running ambition to be a crypto hub. I found an article on this, a recent one, it's just come out in the last 24 hours. We'll just quickly give it a read through, see what it's about, and then we'll comment after. So when the government announced its plan to make the UK a crypto hub in April 2022, many expected regulation for the sector to follow rapidly. More than 2 years down the line, the country is still lacking a clear crypto regulatory framework, and the change of government will slow down the legislation process even further, according to industry leaders. The key issue here is timing. The general election put a stop to the process for both the Treasury and the FCA. Konstantinos Adamos, who's the group lead legal counsel at Revolut, told Financial News. Understandably, when dealing with a complex and technical policy issue like this, it's going to take time. The new government should make sure we don't fall behind the EU in developing the future regulatory framework for crypto, he added. Labour came to power after victory in the 4th of July general election, and crypto was not mentioned in Labour's manifesto, but the party said it would support tokenisation and a CBDC. The UK political landscape has shifted, but for crypto, we think it will be largely business as usual, said Bivu Das, who's Kraken's UK managing director. The hard work of designing a policy framework for crypto is done, but legislation is still pending and time is running out for the UK, Das added. Last October, the UK government announced its plan to regulate crypto like traditional assets, and the FCA published a discussion paper on stablecoins last November. However, the exact implementation date for crypto or stablecoin regulation remains unclear. Despite the lack of clarity on the timing of the new crypto regulatory framework, the FCA has been ramping up its crypto expertise, and the regulator now has more than 100 crypto staff split across different teams. Keir Starmer and the Labour Party have not laid out a detailed crypto policy. However, their plan for financial services suggests an open stance towards integrating and regulating the crypto economy to drive innovation, economic growth and social equity. This is according to Mark Matthews, who's the Chief Risk Officer at Zodia Markets. The FCA has taken a tough approach to crypto authorisations, and some crypto firms are having to wait more than 750 days before being refused. According to data provided to FN under the Freedom of Information Act, the regulator approved 4 crypto applications out of 30 in the last 12 months. This is what data shows. Now, while you read this article, the most obvious sort of worry in this is the regulatory uncertainty and market instability. So we're talking about like a lack of clear rules and fragmented regulation or inconsistent regulation. Because this can result in many things, regulatory arbitrage being one of them, which is where companies move to jurisdictions with more favourable or less clear rules so they can take advantage of competition, and it actually undermines investor protections as well. We've got increased surveillance and loss of privacy as well. This is part of government overreach and all this data that they're going to be collecting, because stricter regulations are going to lead to increased government surveillance of financial transactions, which is going to erode our privacy. You've also got barriers to entry and innovation, meaning it's harder to get into crypto because the government's creating that barrier for us to get in, and for people with less means to be able to get in. You can have more stringent requirements, so tough regulatory requirements and long approval processes enforced by the government. or by the FCA, which is an arm of the government really, create these long waiting times and big barriers for new and innovative crypto projects to get in, and this is a loss for the industry, obviously. There's also costs with compliance, and regulations. There's a cost to the complexity of compliance. If it's made really complex and difficult and it's not thought through, it can be prohibitive for smaller companies and your average person like you and me, and startups as well, especially. And this ends up leading to a concentration of market power within, where you've got just a few large firms or a few mega businesses in charge of everything, running the whole show, and we can't get a look in. Another problem with over-regulation, though, is that any sort of harsh regulatory measures can actually criminalise legitimate activities. People can be just doing what they think is normally legitimate and find out that it's actually not. And the government brings in these rules and they've either got to shut up the business or they end up getting prosecuted for something that they never even knew was... never even knew they were breaking the law because the government didn't put out good regulations. So, and this ends up, or it can end up, promoting sort of a climate of fear and uncertainty among crypto users, and people get scared. Then they don't want to start up a business just in case. There can be penalties and sanctions, like heavy penalties and sanctions for non-compliance, even if you get minor infractions or, little small things that that are not that big of a deal. They can end up coming down really heavy on them and disproportionately impact smaller players and individual users. And if it does continue like this and we do get over-regulation, we're going to have this kind of, it's going to be like an, exclusion inequality, where we're going to have this sort of digital divide where stricter regulations will require, more advanced technological infrastructure and knowledge. And not all users are going to have that, so we're not all going to get access to the market, which is obviously unfair. And this will exacerbate this digital divide of the, people who've got access and people who've not, which is obviously... it's just totally not what crypto is about. Crypto is about the little guy getting involved and, giving back power and sovereignty to the individual. So one thing we don't want is this sort of economic exclusion where we get overly stringent regulations as they, as they excludes marginalised groups from participating in crypto, which is going to just perpetuate this economic inequality. And one last thing is that we, without clear guidelines, without proper guidelines that are sensible and well thought through, enforcement of these regulations can be arbitrary, shall we say, or inconsistent. This leads to unfair treatment of people, and when you get legal uncertainties, you're going to get people that are going to be able to take advantage of that, and you're going to get people that are going to fall foul of it just by accident. So it's going to be really unfair in the long run if we don't get it right. Because there's a knock-on effect of that as well. We'll end up with regulators that can be influenced because there's no proper laws or proper regulations. They're easily influenced by the big players, as I've just talked about, that have now taken control of. We've all been pushed out, and so you've got these established financial institutions that are now able to influence the government, and that's going to be obviously, we're going to have biased regulations then, which is even worse. So which will favour the traditional finance over our innovative crypto solutions and young companies and startups, which is what we want to promote. The disruptors, Now I could continue and talk about CBDCs as well, because that's another thing altogether. And I'll get into a video of that later in the week. That's what I've got for you today, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notifications bell. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.